in New York, in a place called the Bronx. I don't know, has anyone heard of the Bronx?
No.
No, it's a neighborhood of New York City, or you could say it an area. We have five areas:
Mm-hmm.
Bronx, Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn,
Okay.
and Staten Island. These are like the famous neighborhoods of New York City. And I work in the most northern one.
Mm-hmm.
And all of my students are students who are immigrants who came from other countries,
Yes.
mostly Dominican Republic, Ecuador, so Spanish speaking, some Yemeni,
Mm-hmm.
and Albanian, Italian, a little African, a little from Bangladesh, Pakistan. We don't have any from India.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what I do is I help them. They know English, some do not,
Okay.
but we have like our state exams. I'm sure you still have your state exams. So I help them with their passing their state exams and learning some English.
Mm.
Yes, sir. Hello, sir. My name is Padmaja. I am a seventh grader from Jilla Parishad School, Ailavaram. Sir, I would like to ask you a question. Can I ask, sir?
Sure, go ahead.
What strategies do you employ to engage students who may be struggling with language barriers outside the classroom environment?
It's a very good question. Thank you for asking it. Uh, some of the barriers, just specifically that my students have, not just in my class, but at our school, is being able to just differentiate the sounds and letters in English. So I'm sure you know, because you also speak it in a language that's very different from English.
Yeah.
So it may seem like it's a basic thing, but we're actually at our school teaching phonics, which means your ability to, differentiate what is a sound, understand what a sound is, and connect it with groups of letters. So I know that once students are beyond third grade reading level or fourth grade, they're able to start reading independently. But until they can do that, we have to give them those kinds of supports. So that's one for the lower level students, just knowing what sounds are and how they are with letters. I guess for some that are struggling, just some other sentences that we may give them that they can practice using with writing. What's the challenge? Like, for instance, right now, my students in 1 month have to take a state exam. And when you have these pressures of the state exams, you can't just do the general aspect of the language. You have to teach everything to the exam. So we give them sentences that they have to practice. They're called sentence starters. I'm curious to ask, when you're studying English, what is the aim of it? Is it for passing an exam, just for speaking, going to university? I don't know if you as a teacher, Hari Krishna, or one of the students could answer, but for my students, it feels like many, it's to be able to pass the exam and potentially go to university. But I'm curious about your students. What is their aim for learning English?
Yes, actually, most of my students are aiming to pass the exams. But the
Yep.
students who are here with me, with you, actually are aiming to do something in future. So they want to try their lucks in other countries. So they want to go
Mm-hmm.
abroad. And so for that, I think they need communicative skills, especially in English language.
Right.
These students are thinking in a broader perspective. That's why they take part in these interactions, especially international interactions. They take part every day.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the real platform, in fact, that enables them to break the boundaries. So they are pushing the boundaries, and so they are interacting with many foreigners, students. So, like this, you have just mentioned that most of your students are immigrants. So,
Yeah.
their background in English language is not that much standard on per the native English speakers in America.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
So, do you like to work on these students outside the school hours? Just like what I am
Uh,
doing?
so what I do have is I'm very passionate about not only English, but learning about topics that students are passionate about that are not only English. So using other medium or other ways of learning, and English is part of the process. So I have a club at my school. It's not an English club, it's a music club where they learn to play guitar, and the teacher only speaks English.
Right.
So what I'm trying to express is I like to have opportunities where I create a space for students to develop other interests, nothing to do with English, but they use English in the process of learning that other interest. I think in some ways that's motivating for students because
Wow.
all the time thinking, oh, I need to learn. The other challenge I have at my school, and I don't know if you have this, is that everyone speaks more or less Spanish. So you can go through the whole language of learning English without ever having to speak it. So you're just writing it, and it becomes almost just like a paper language
Yes.
rather than like a spoken one. So I like to try to get students to do activities like you, but
Yes.
things that they're interested. I also have like a club where we do exercise together.
Mm.
Thank you. I had to mute. I'm well.
Hello, sir. My name is Sheikh Husnia. I am a seventh grader from ZPHS School, Ailavaram. Can I ask you a question, sir?
Go ahead.
Can you share an experience where yoga has had an transformative impact on you?
I'd love to. So you're from the country where yoga is, originated.
Yes.
So I absolutely love your country because it's a practice that, is very popular in the United States, but for different reasons, for different people with different motivations. So that's why I was asked about what your motivation was for English. My motivation for yoga is to calm my mind and my body and my spirit. So everything calm, and hopefully I can be a happier person. Some people's motivation for yoga in the United States is to just have a strong body, right? They just do it like exercise. So everyone has a different motivation. I love teaching it. I actually teach in a local gym yoga. And in my class, it's more older people, 50, 60, people who are working, 40. And they really like the calmness that yoga brings because the world, I don't know if you agree with this. I know all of you are young. Me and Hare Krishna are the older ones, but the world is stressful. Would you agree?
Yes.
Do you agree?
They
Okay.
definitely agree.
They agree. They may not, right? You agree? The world and life is stressful. And sadly, we don't learn skills to deal with stress. We just keep taking it until it becomes too much. So I'd love to also ask all of the students here, what do they do? So yoga is just one thing I do. I like to do exercise, swimming, any sort of activity where I can take a break from my mind. Because sometimes this is a good thing, the mind. But sometimes the mind also creates problems. Am I the only one, or anyone else has mind that makes problems? Anyone?
Every human being.
Okay, I want to make sure I'm not alone. So I'm on a journey continually trying to understand how I can use my body, use my mind, use everything, use my voice, use my spirit, my love, everything I have to do something good. But this takes practice and discipline. So I found yoga to be very helpful. I try to do it every day. Having to teach something forces you to do it. So I just wanted to share, this is what I practice as yoga. I'd love to know if any other students here, well, I guess I have two questions. One is, has anyone here ever done yoga?
Yes, interestingly, some of my students, they are very good experts in yoga.
Wow.
Not these students, but not these students who are present here. But in our school, we have 5 students they're experts in doing yoga. They do all yogasanas. Yes, but definitely
Wow.
once I get back to school in the month of June, I will arrange a session exclusively with those students and with you so that you can see their yoga feats.
I want to see their magic. And I mean, you don't
Definitely.
have to be passionate about yoga, but that was my first question because the second one I wanted to ask are, what do you do to relax your mind and body? Because that is the aim, at least for me. I look at the aim of yoga
Yes.
to, reconnect. You could say it has a spiritual part.
Yeah.
But what I want to ask you, Hare Krishna, and the students,
Yes.
like Husneya, what do you do in order to have less stress, to be calmer?
So for me, I involve my students also. For me, I think to the best stress buster for me is music. So music,
Really? Listening.
music is something that suits my heart and it takes away all my stress. So the stress, in fact, coming from the family or coming from the institution where I am working. So
Mm-hmm.
is something that definitely takes away all my stress. In the same time, running. So
Oh,
walking,
great.
yeah, walking, jogging is also one thing that where I enjoy my free time, and it also takes away my stress. And I would like to tell you one thing. I lost my father when I was 8 years old. But
No. Wow.
as he used to do all yogasanas. As a kid, I used to observe him keenly from a window of a lonely room where he used to do the yogasanas and savasana and many more asanas. I was curious to talk with him, but at the time I was too young to talk about those yogasanas, that especially about the yoga. But after, as I was going older and older, I came to know about the yoga and its the benefits of yoga to get out of your stress. Gayatri, one of the students.
Sir, I play with my cock, sir.
You play with your cocks. Okay, that's your stress buster.
Hello, sir.
Hi, Sadwick.
How are you, sir?
I'm well, and you?
I'm fine, sir. My name is Satvik. I am 7th grader from ZPH School, Lailevaram. I would like to one question, sir. Shall I ask, sir?
Go ahead.
How do you integrate the principles of yoga into your classes?
So I once again I'll explain. I do two jobs. One of my jobs, Satwik, is I work in a high school with students. And the expectation is every day I'm helping them with their English so they can read and write and uh, speak better. The second job I do is I teach yoga in the gym. So whatever job I do, I try to do what the expectation is of the job. So yoga job, I do straight yoga. English job, I do most part straight English.
Yes.
Some little things that I do in the English teaching high school job is I have a bell. I sometimes ring the bell so students can calm down. I do some breathing exercises with my students. But I think for me, the honest truth is I use yoga. I have it as a practice so that I can manage myself better. And that's not an easy thing to do, to always be self, confident, to be in control of yourself, to stay calm when you feel frustrated. So I don't necessarily go teaching yoga poses to my students. I do have a club where we meet and we do exercise, and sometimes I'll show them some stretches or asana. But I just try to be a model as best as I can of a calm, caring teacher. The reason I'm saying that is I think what's more important is how we feel and how we think, and not always what we're saying. Because I could be saying, "Oh, be calm," but if I'm angry, it doesn't matter. So what's more important is just I do the things that I need so that I can be strong, calm, and clear for my students, and hopefully they can learn more. So that's my aim with yoga in the classroom, is to just use it as a tool in my toolbox. Like you know, I know students said walking helps them. Another one, I think they said video game. I didn't exactly hear it, but that is one of the tools that I use in the classroom for myself when I become overwhelmed.
Yes. Is gaining popularity in every region of USA because we are leading a stressful life, in everyday stressful life. So yoga is one of the stress buster, as we have discussed before. Is yoga is occupying everyone's life in order to get rid of the stress or any kind of mind related issues or
Yeah,
physical issues.
yeah, I would say people who are more open-minded
Mm.
are more open to doing different forms of self-care. I consider yoga, I don't want to just say exercise, because there's so many motivations. Some people do it just for their body, some people do it for their mind, some people do it for their spirit, you know, more the spiritual aspect. But I would say in general, you're going to find yoga in many gyms throughout the United States. Something that I've been doing somewhat recently is hot yoga, similar to your hot temperatures in India. You go into a very hot room, maybe 43 Celsius or something like this, 42, and you do yoga postures for 1 hour. It's not only Bikram, there's a lot of different types, but I'm sure maybe you've heard of Bikram yoga, because when you say yoga, there's so many types. So that's it. People will be attracted to doing the types of yoga or other activities, physical movement, that makes them happy. And some people do not like it. So I think that's what's nice, is that everyone will have their form of movement that they want to do to.
In your experience, what has been the most effective approach to integrate technology into English language teaching for students in New York?
Sure. Well, there's no lack of applications and websites, uh, online resources, but you know what? There is a lack of concentration and focus. So that's the honest truth. So I don't want to answer your question by saying I use this website and I use this with my class, because my experience, and I'd love to know your experience. Wait, what was the student's name who just asked me? Was it Gayatri? Gayatri or Hare Krishna? What is your experience with technology? Because what mine has been is I use certain applications for certain projects. But I've noticed that giving technology, this is my experience, to my students, can be helpful if they use it with focus, can be a distraction if they use it, you know, in the wrong way. So I'd love to know. And there's different realities. I don't know what your situation is. The other challenge I have in my school is not all of our computers have internet. So I give projects and things, and my students don't have internet, or it's very slow. So before, I loved using an application called Padlet. It's a website. I could send to you stories of my students. I had them write stories and record them in English and in their first language. This was a great website for getting my students to write, to speak in their language and in English. So that was one that I used. It was Padlet. But I don't want to give a list of a lot of sites, because for me, what's more important is having a focus with your mind and having a clear, objective and a time limit. Because I'm curious, Hare Krishna, how you use technology, because I use it, but I also use it less, seeing that my students need a lot of help focusing if
Yes.
I use it.
So, in fact, I use technology in connecting with different educators across the globe different students across the globe. So this is how I am using the technology. Other than this, actually, I used to involve my students even answering to the some of the foreign students' text messages via Padlet. So using the Padlet also, I involve the students. Another aspect is that my students physically write the letters, and sometimes I send the letters through email. So through their emails, we get the letters. So like that,
What is
I would
push?
like to ask the question: how do you tailor your English language curriculum to accommodate the diverse cultural backgrounds of the students? That's the question actually.
Oh,
She
that's a
was,
nice question.
yeah.
I mean, in general, I try to choose topics for units, which are, times of learning, like, a month-long project on something that is a topic that they can connect with. So we read a book about kids who immigrate to the United States alone by train. It's I mean, you have trains in India. We have a big train that's famous in Mexico that brings many immigrants to the United States. The train comes, they have to run off, and then they come back on the train. So we read a story about a boy. He was maybe 14, and we listened to the audiobook and we read the book uh, about this boy's life and about how he came to America to try to find his mom. A lot of my students, their family lives in America, or half of their families in America, some of their families in America, like their dad, their mom's in their country, or the opposite, and they want to be with their mom or dad. They want to meet their family. So they have to come sometimes alone to the United States. So we read stories that are um, interesting, maybe connected with their lives. Right now, we're going to start reading about plastic pollution, which is something that's a topic that may not be as interesting, but because our state exam, one of the questions is often about environmental and global issues. So I want them to be ready to be able to understand and write and read and think about this plastic pollution issue. So this is what we're going to do next. So it's based on their interests, their reality, but also what they may need to write about for the state exam.
Okay, thank you.
Show you.
Yeah, please. Could you please take us a
Is it possible?
virtual tour of your home? Yes, yes, it's possible.
I could
You
show you
can.
around. Yeah, I
Yeah,
could show you my garden. You want
yeah,
to see it in
please.
a second? This is my garden.
Wow.
Yeah, we're gonna start planting some different vegetables and things. And yeah, but I do. Yeah, this is it. I have like you can see where I live. It's very green. There's a lot of trees and things around, so I like it. I don't live straight in New York City.
Hmm.
Can I show you possibly my
Yes, yes,
students?
you can show. I have just enabled it.
Here, this is my class.
Okay.
They're doing a speaking activity. This is in the beginning of the year. This is my classroom. Um, they're talking, and then every 1 minute they talk to someone else. And then this student is measuring what are the students talking about? Yemeni, Dominican, Albanian, Kosovo, many countries. See all my students of different backgrounds, different cultures. Um, this is some of the teachers. She's born in Algeria, Pakistani descent, and she's Mexican, but born in America. We all wear these purple shirts. Other teachers, she's an amazing sign language teacher. She's one of the English teachers, history teacher. One of the teachers helped make cups for all of the teachers. So we have cups with our face on it. She was giving gifts. Everyone had a face with their cup on it. And we also have a class at our school where they do crocheting, where they, learn how to make hats. So they made this hat. They made him this hat. They made me this scarf. Our students learned how to make these things. Um, this is the students handing out the gifts to all the teachers, getting ready for the gifts. some other teachers wearing the same colors. What I like about the staff is we're all a lot of different backgrounds. This is my guitar club.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really nice. We brought this other organization and they helped teach the guitar to the students. This is that main teacher. This is another teacher at our school who also is very good at guitar. This is a Saturday class that I was teaching to prepare for our state exams. So they're coming on Saturday. So my students in my classroom from Africa, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Venezuela. This was a competition we had at our school. I helped organize it because I like sports. So we were seeing who could do different physical activities. So we did push-up, pull-up, jumping, who could jump the highest. I don't know if you can hear this. Yeah, this is it. It's very nice when you get people excited about other topics, and this is what I like to do. Not just English, but I like to have more topics.
Really amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing job. Really amazing job. So, yes, would you mind giving us some yoga flavor? So, can you do one or two asanas in front of us?
Sure.
So that
Sure.
we will proud of being a country which produce the yoga to the world.
You got it. Yep. Let me see here. I can do the sun salutation.
Yes.
And come to a downward dog. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. And then upward facing dog. And then you have chaturanga. Facing dog. Downward dog. I could show you one that's a special one. That's just a sun salutation. There's one that I like that's kind of a fun one.
Wow.
It's kind of like a fish, not fish. Yeah, it's a kind of pose. I like that one, but I don't necessarily do all the amazing things. I find in general,
Yes.
I just like to be consistent, so I get the benefits.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. So before we end this session, could you please give a message to my students?
Give what to them? I didn't hear.
Is a message.
Oh, send a message to them. Sure.
Yeah.
I would say just keep listening to videos or music or any topics, it's video games, whatever it is, but just keep listening to English. It will help with your pronunciation. And speaking, you can listen to videos, repeat them, but just engage in topics that interest you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for